Hello and welcome to busyworksbeats.com. Today we continue the melody series right here at busyworksbeats.com/melody, where you can learn melody for free. In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to make better melodies. We're going to go from beginner level, and I'm going to show you guys the layers and layers and layers this goes into. There are levels to this. So first, we're going to go to the channel rack here. We're going to click the plus button, and let's open up Flex. This is a free plugin in FL Studio. Let's go to the Store tab. Make sure you guys download the core bass library. Okay, we're going to go to library. We're going to go to core bass and pick the first bass. Now, you may think that we're going to make a bass line. We're actually going to use the bass guitar as an electric guitar. Let's go to where it says Edit and just turn off the limiter. So now when I play, we should be able to hear the strings of the bass, but I'm going to play higher up in the octave. So it's a very nice sound that we can use for a guitar sound. All right, so the first place people usually start with melodies is simply clicking in notes. Okay, so I'm going to go through the layers of what makes melody complex. So let's right click, go to piano roll. Let's double click everything. Let's zoom in. Let's change our snap to grid to 1/2 beat. Okay, and let's go to our top left here where it says the drop down for the piano roll options. Let's click there. Let's go to view. Go to keyboard options, turn on modern, go to key labels, turn on all notes. Whenever you're producing in the piano roll, it's half impossible to know where you are because you're producing horizontally, whereas a real piano is vertical. So there's a very different way of producing. So first we're going to set what's called a root note. So let's just start here at E. Okay, now we're going to go up an octave. So let's hit Control up. Now here's some shortcuts you guys want to know. So if you guys hit Control L, it will fill in the gap all the way to the next I believe it's the next bar in this case. Let me see if that's true. Yeah, so the next bar, it will fill in that note. Okay, so that's one shortcut. And now most people, what they do is they just click in notes. Now again, we're going to act like a beginner first, and then we'll go advanced. So let's say you learned how to make a minor chord. So now you just strum the minor chord and go back down. So this is the melody so far. Now let's take this beginner approach and make it better. I'm going to pull it up an octave. And if I do want to keep this rhythmic approach, we're going to make the notes shorter. Now, most people just keep the notes the length they are. When you're playing truncated rhythmic notes, you want the notes to be very short. So we're going to hit Control A. Let's hit Alt, left click, and drag to make the note shorter. So it triggers a shorter. Okay, so even if this was the melody, it now has a more pluck style. Now, we don't need to mess with the velocity here because it's the muted sound that we want. But let's say we wanted to accent a note. So dum, 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 like that. We're just going to turn up the velocity on the third note. So far we've learned how to elongate the notes hitting Control L. We've learned how to truncate the notes hitting Alt and pulling them back. We've learned how to accent notes. Okay, so grab the ellipses if you don't see this at the bottom. Go to Control, go to Note Velocity. Grab that ellipses right here and pull that up. All right, so now you can turn the velocity up. So now we're creating accented notes, and this creates a sub-rhythm within a rhythm. So if I duplicate this over, we can change the velocity at different points. So let's say you want the accent note to be in a different position. We can hit Alt, left click to reset the velocity. So let's say I want to add a note. Okay, and then I want to accent this note, so I'm going to turn this up. So it's almost like a drum pattern. Now let's duplicate this. Let's right click. Let's go to channel rack. Right click, hit C to clone this sound. And now we're going to take the same exact notes. Let's hit Control C, Control V. All right, we are now going to hit Control L to elongate those notes. And then we're going to pull them down to create contrast. Now what I'm going to do here is make the notes hold longer. We're going to hit Control and Shift to highlight multiple notes here and hit Control L to elongate that note. Now here's another layer of melody is to change the root note. So this is called a sustain pedal note. Okay, we're just holding a pedal note. And the way in music theory to change the perception of a chord, for example, is if I play D minor like this. Let's go up an octave. If I change the bass note, it changes the chord. Okay, so that's what I'm doing here is simply changing the bass note out. I learned that specific technique from Jeff Schneider, that specific chord change. All right, so now what we're going to do is change out the bass note. So if the root note here is E, we can do a lot of different root notes. I'll just give you guys the options here because there's no one way to be creative. But we're going to take the root note. We're going to count up 7 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. So we could take the root note. We could sharpen the root note. We could pull the root note down a note, which is flattening the note. Okay. We could do the same thing with the fifth, sharp fifth, flat fifth. And then we could use the octave here of E. And the same thing here. Usually it's a sharp note. So these are all the notes we can go to in terms of changing out that bottom note. So let's just try them. Let's go to the fifth. And now we can create movement to this dum 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 without doing a lot of chord changing up top. So instead of changing the E minor chord that we spread out over time, which is the 037 chord code for those who study our chord code system, we can now just change out the bottom note and it creates a different perspective on the chord. So we don't have to keep changing our dum 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 part is what I'm saying. So we could do that to make it like sound like Scooby-Doo. My ear wants to hear E again. Now this just happens to be a low tone, so we could simply pull this up. But now we're just gonna put it in the bass octave. So now we're using 2 instruments to illustrate one spread apart chord, and that's a very jazz theory approach to melody. Now let's get into mixing a little bit. Let's hit Control L, send that dum 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 to the mixer. I'm going to show you guys how important timing is. Let's add a plugin called Fruity Stereo Shaper. We're going to up what's called the delay time, and this is going to delay the left ear from the right ear to create a stereo delay. So now it widens the sound and it wraps around that bass sound instead of clashing with it in terms of time. Not mandatory, just something to understand is how important a millisecond can be in music. All right, now let's get into the next layer of advancedness. Okay, so let's right click, let's go to the piano roll here. And now we're gonna go back to E minor, which is E, G, B. Let's go up an octave. But now we're gonna use what are called chord extensions. So if you don't know anything about music theory, no worries. All you need to understand is the number 7. Let me show you guys why. So there's only 2 main, I say. Here's the chord codes app, for example, at busyworksbeats.com. Let me show you guys the difference between a minor chord and a major chord. So minor chord, let me go up an octave, is 037. The root note is 0, meaning a point of no distance. You count up note by note on your keyboard until you get to 3. It's called a minor third. And then 037, if you play all those notes, 4, 5, 6, 7, play all these, you get what's called a minor triad. It's a 3-note chord. So the only difference between a minor chord and a major chord is the middle note. All I got to do is take this A up 1 note to 047 to be the major chord. Okay, so the only difference between major and minor is the middle note from A to B flat in this case. So minor is 037, major is 047. So that's important when we get into extended chords like this. So an extended chord is taking a chord that sounds like this, but making it more exotic sounding, like that. Okay, so really big, 6-note chords, 5-note chords, but I'll show you guys how easy it is to make this once you understand. So first we have to determine, are we gonna make a minor extended chord or a major extended chord? In this case, let's just assume it's a minor chord. Let's count up 3 notes, 1, 2, 3. So we have the root note here and then a note up 3. So the only number you need to understand is the number 7. We're gonna take the root note and count up 7 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's your perfect 5th for those who understand what that is. Take your third, for example. Let's say we wanna make a minor 7th chord. Let's add this note up 7 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now you have a minor 7th chord just like that. Okay, let's say you want to create a minor 9th chord. You're gonna take the 5th, you're gonna pull it up, duplicate it and pull it up 7 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Boom, now you have a minor 9th chord. Okay, now if you want to make an 11th chord, you're going to take your, what do we take? We're going to take the 7th in this case, count up 7 more, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, boom. Now you have an 11th chord. So that's how you create chord extensions. You're just taking either the root note or the third, and you're just counting 7 notes from that point. Then take the next point, count up 7 notes, and on and on and on to create these chord extensions. Okay, so again, we counted up from these 2 notes, the root note first, count up 7. Then you go to the next note, which is the third, count up 7 to create that chord extension, then the 5th to create the 9th, and then the 7th to create the 11th. So that's how you can create really exotic chords without knowing much music theory at all. Okay, so now we understand this. Let me turn off the effect. So we are using this extended chord as almost like a scale, because if you understand where scales come from, it's pretty much a chord, okay? So now, because if we drop these notes down an octave, they make up a scale. They're just more clustered together. Okay, so now we're going to pull this up here like this. And now we can split this into 2 halves. We're going to take the bottom half and then the top half and separate them. So now we're splitting a 6-note chord into 2 chords. And what we're going to do is give these rhythmic timing so that we don't perceive them as a chord. We're going to go down from the 5th, and then we're going to go down from what's called the 11th and see what this sounds like. Now, if you want to get more exotic, what I show people how to do is, for example, you can take a portion of this and then something from this chord. So for example, instead of B, let's take the note D. So we're taking a note from this triad, pulling it down to that first minor third. Or we can do this. And again, we can revoice these notes so it doesn't have to be this. Okay, so now we just need effects to actually hear the sound. So that's a part that it's a little complicated to explain because it requires a lot of music theory understanding. But once you guys understand it, you can split up really big chords into 2 different chords, and then you can kind of pull pieces from each chord into the other chord to make a melodic phrase. And then from here, I'm just adding a pitch wheel. So let's record this in. Now this is from my actual MIDI controller in FL Studio. If you go to the settings here, this pitch range is set to 2. And if I move my pitch wheel, it goes down. So what I'm doing is a 2 semitone pitch wheel. So I'm going to record this in. And that creates that R&B sound. Now for a longer phrase, this would be more exaggerated. Now from this point, we would just go to the next chord. So I'll just show you guys. We're just going to transplant this entire thing down 5 notes, hit shift down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will go to the perfect 5th of the original chord. We can also go up an octave. So I'm going to record some more notes, some more pitch bend. Now, in real guitar, notes overlap. Okay, so let's try this concept. Now we're elongating these notes to purposely go into the next section. And this is what advanced users understand, especially for acoustic guitar, that notes don't just stop, they keep ringing out. So now we can create a contrast layer against this. And we would need a duplicate instance because we don't want the pitch bend to override it. So let's right click, hit clone. And then now you guys can just play different things. I'll just show you guys who are using typing keyboards, what you can do. Just determine, did you go major chord or minor chord? We're going to right click up here, go to the pentatonic scales. Now we're going to go to the minor pentatonic and play over this melody we have. We can also right click and go to the root note, which was E. And now you can play with your typing keyboard. And you really can't go wrong just playing any notes here. Now I wanted to do something a little more exotic than just the minor pentatonic, but that works 99% of the time when you guys are doing guitar melodies. Now I'm doing something a little more harmonically rich here. We're just using perfect fifths here, and then I'm going to pitch bend into them. So basically I'm going from B and I ask, okay, what is the fifth of B? F sharp. And then I'm going down to E and saying, what is the fifth of E? Is B. So we're playing the structure of the chords that we created earlier. So that's the power of understanding harmony. And now you have that supportive layer, the contrast layer. And this could add the vibe. Now we can do a lot more stuff to it. Like this sound I might widen out, add a phaser, something that moves, or a flanger, something like that. Let's add fruity flanger. And let's also try the FL Studio stereo shaper to create like a time delay. So now we have a dimensionality to the sound. Okay, so now we're going to add the third layer. Now this is taking it almost to level 3 here when it comes to melody. We're going to add a bass tone, but the bass tone's job is to create the perception of a chord. Remember how we changed the bottom notes before? So here I'm going to go from E. I'll just kind of give you guys a blueprint because there's a lot really to explain about this. So we're going to go from E. Where are we at here? Where's the visual? I'm trying to find the visual for you guys. Oh, we're in the wrong octave though. All right, so E is the root note. This is where we started. And then we moved down to the perfect fifth, which is 5 notes down to E, to B. So in the bass, we can go a lot of different places. I'll keep it short though. You can use the tonic note. You can use the note above, note below. You can go to 7 notes above the tonic, sharp, flat that. And then you can go to the octave here, sharp. Most people don't flat the octave, but these are the notes you guys can use to jump around in your bass. Now, if you want a for sure type of movement, you can go to the fifth. This is a lot to teach, so I'm kind of simplifying it. So you can go from the root note to the fifth, and then whatever that chord type would be, I think that would be a minor for this. Yeah, that would be the same chord. So E minor is where we started, and then it would be B minor. But you're going to take the third of B minor and then make it the opposite chord type, so a major chord. And then from D major, you're going to take the fifth of D major and go to A major. So those are the movements you guys can create. In other words, we're just taking the root notes from those. So E, B, and then D, A. Now the last note, I'm going to fix that. That actually sounded pretty dope to use that flat. So now the bass is a part of that harmony extension. And now we have this super introspective type of sound. Now with reverb, we can spice it up a little bit. Let's add a little reverb. Let's give this a little fruity convolver. I learned this from Pete's Beats. If you go to presets, blur, I'm gonna blur white. And we're gonna keep the wet level up. We're gonna send the melody to the reverb to create a very ambient sound. It might be too long tail for this sound though. So now it's about mixing and stylizing the sound for where we're trying to go for. And we can do the same pitch bend type stuff to the bass. Now, what I like to do is pitch bend into notes. So instead of going like that, I pitch bend into it. That's a technique you guys can try as well. All right, so now the note has a little more expression. So it could do like that. want to change this note here. All right, so now let's get into the fourth layer, which is understanding how deep effects can go in sound design. Now, sound design is an infinite rabbit hole, but I will show you guys a couple techniques. Let's group everything into what's called a melody group in the mixer. We highlight the notes, the mixer's right here. Hit Control to highlight the channels, and we're gonna right click the up arrow. I'm gonna route to this track only. And now all we have to do is just reroute the reverbs manually. So anything that had reverb. And then we're gonna go to the melody group. Now the first plugin I'd recommend you guys mess with is Gross Beat. This does a lot of glitch edits. It does a lot of just things. Just go through a lot of these and just click on the presets and see what you guys can find. So I'm gonna get out that one. Let's go to Juggling Science. I'll learn this one from Aiden to go to Tripeat here. That's more of an underground music type of approach. But now we're getting that like ambient. So instead of dun, let's do. So this is the E. We're gonna go dun, instead of dun 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 dun. I want to go dun 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 dun. So we're just gonna pull that E down an octave. And now we're getting that like ambient emotional sound, that very introspective sound. Now for the bass, I'm going to cut out the lows because I'll show you guys the technique here. We're going to have that do all the glitchy stuff. Now this may or may not work. Let's try a plugin called OTT. It might be overkill for this. I don't know. No, I feel like we need it for this kind of vibe. All right, and let's send the melody group over to the reverb to have that tail. And now we're going to open up what's called a respace. Now there's many ways to make respace. For this video, I'm just going to show you guys the exact preset industry producers use. Diego Ab put me onto this. He's produced for a lot of folks. Let's go to View All Directory. I believe it's in the Trillion library, but don't quote me. It's called Oscar Bass 3. So we're going to type in Oscar Bass. So you need Trillion for this to load up. If you don't have Trillion, it won't load up in Omnisphere. But this is a respace, you know, the Drake bass. So what we're going to do is add that underneath the thing that we just created. So it should have the same musicality. It just stutters more. So now let's go to E and then B and just kind of bounce around those notes. So I'm going to use my ear here. Dun, dun. My ear wants to hear F sharp instead of B. So it's hard to hear, but you have to, again, we're playing to the music kind of, because the glitch holds certain notes that aren't really supposed to be held. So let's hit Shift Q and do it by ear now. I don't know why FL is like weird recording. Did it record anything I just did? What did FL just do? Let's do this again. FL just is acting weird here, guys. So I'm trying to keep the bass simple because we have a lot of movement. Just going to turn that bass down so it's just felt. Now I think the bass is getting a little heavy, so let's cut it out. Let's send more of the melody to the reverb. We need a long tail reverb here. Now I learned this next technique from Pete's Beat, so I want to thank him for exposing me to this technique. Now we're in the key. Now it's very hard to keep track of where we are musically because now we have added so many effects. That's why I left the effects for last. We're going to go to Serum and we're going to go to the granular sampler, And he used the vocals from, I think it was another company here, but we're going to use vocals from Kashmir. I don't have a lot of vocal samples just sitting around, but we do need vocals in a minor scale or the relative scale, if you guys know how to transpose the key right. So we're just going to go to vocals. We're going to go to hooks with lyrics, pop vocals, and we are in the key of E minor. So let's just drag this in. I don't even need to hear this. We're going to right click and slice automatically so that we have a threshold, and this will create different chops based on the transient. So now when okay, we could just use this, and then we could use pitch randomness. We could basically use it like any other sound. So add a little randomness to the panning, to the length of the granular. And let's even add directionality, meaning it can go forward or backwards. And he did something else that I completely forgot what he did. Now, I don't know if there's a playthrough, so again, don't take this as a full-on tutorial about how to granulize. Okay, but it'd be nice to have like a playthrough option where, okay, so it's one shot. Let's go to forward loop. I think that'll fix it. So if we hold the note, it'll keep going and not just stop. So now we can add this to the mix. And then we're going to add this to the melody group eventually. So the only thing is it's chopped up, so I don't want to confuse myself as we're playing. So until then, I'm just going to play the notes. It's already in the key of E minor, so we don't need to obsess about root notes or anything. All right, so let's just record this in. So again, you guys can play your own pattern. Let's run this through. Now let's run it through the melody group. This is gonna change everything, so we're not gonna know what it sounds like. So I'm gonna change some of these chops. I'm gonna turn the vocals down because they're very sensitive to the OTT. I almost have these almost turned off and they're still like super loud in OTT. So now I'm just moving the notes. So everything's, you know, going through the same groove. That's the important part. I'm gonna add a filter because it's a little bright. Some of the chops could be better. Let's see what happens if we have portamento. I'm not sure this will do anything, but let me just put always on. I'm not sure if granular works with portamento. So it's just something to experiment with. Another thing to experiment with is the LFO. Let's go to sample and hold, drag this over the octave. This, we have to go to the matrix to set the range because it's going to go negative and positive. So it can go down or up. Let's see what unison adds to this. So unison definitely adds a nice chorusy sound. Let's change the detune amount. Let's change the range from -1 octave to +1. So again, it could use a little more reverb. Let's send the filter through a reverb inside of Serum. Under the bus 1, it's at a reverb, a long tail hall reverb with at least 20 seconds of a tail to it. Actually, let's take off the LFO on the octave there. Let's mess with the directionality. So you kind of got to dial in the sound design there. Let's also add kickstart. This is another groove. I forgot it doesn't matter unless we're on the melody group. Let's pull the volume back down. So here's what we're going to do for this arrangement is pull that over so it doesn't just start there. So we took this from sounding like R&B to EDM. And that's why I said there's levels to this melody stuff. I'm gonna pull the second bass down an octave to see if we get a little more rumble out of it. Alright guys, if you want to learn melody, go to busyworksbeats.com/melody. I'm going to show you guys how many layers there are to melody. Thank you guys for watching. It's Game from busyworksbeats.com. Share this video with a friend. Peace.